Welcome to Boombox Music Talk. I am Marc, and today, on a moment in time, we have some music. Man, I am just tired. I am kind of beat down, to be honest. It's a half good beat down, half bad beat down. I don't know. Is there a good beat down? It's January 2021. I'm releasing this in the year 2047 at the rate I'm going. And the pandemic, COVID, Corona, the C word. It's it's been going on for a year now. Everybody's trapped up in their homes. You can get out a little bit. Some people get out more than others. Probably shouldn't, but that might be an unpopular opinion. Either way, circumstances are a little tiring. And been working hard at the old 9 to 5, which has been more like 7 to 7 lately. But it's good. It's good. Business in multitude is a good problem to have. So not going to complain about that, but it is, following on the heels of Corona. It's a little tiring. Everybody's trying to get geared up. 2021. All right. Gonna be amazing. So, but what's funny is when it gets fall time, winter time, we all have, I feel like, those albums and artists that you go to for different seasons, and fall is definitely my rock roots time, specifically like early 2000s rock. Edema, Chevelle, Korn, Linkin Park, Stained, and Sevendust, which is those Sevendust guys. They're what brought me here today. I'll try to keep it brief since this is a solo trip for me today. I know that can be long-winded, so but it just got me thinking. I was, this time period kind of brought me back to Sevendust. Sevendust had a new album come out called Blood from a Stone, and my love affair with Sevendust has been mostly hot. It's mostly been good, but it's definitely been hot and cold the last 5 years, 10 years. Gosh, how many years have they been playing? Long time. I can still remember. I remember we were playing in Core Factor. We were recording album 1, and it was, we had more like a dark college, not college rock, but it was definitely more simplified kind of approach rock, drums, bass, guitar, vocals coming out of the grunge age. My buddy Sean, wrote a lot of that album, and he was really into Stone Temple Pilots, those Delano. Can't remember their name, but the brothers, the guitar player and the bass player from STP, his brother Spencer was the drummer, and I'm sure he felt some kinship to that kind of, delivery method. And it was great. It was fun. But I remember when we were gigging, my brother Brett, who played drums in Core Factor with me later on, I remember being in the car with him one time. He used to come out and run sound for us. And I remember him, showing him off the second Sevendust album, Denial. And, I think it was Denial. What else? Let me pull it up on the old Get Fiddle YouTuber. Oh, that's weird. Oh, here. I'm just not doing it right. Let the old man go figure out the YouTuber. So, if you go back to that second album, what the hell was the name of it? I'm horrible with names. Home. Gosh. And so, there was a couple of songs off that got pretty big. You had, I think the biggest one probably was Denial. There was Denial, there was Waffle, there was Licking Cream. I think those were the three releases from the album. And I remember pulling this song up right here. Let's see. Here we go. Hear that little build up? And anyway, I remember getting in the car and being like, hey Brett, check out this riff. And I remember being like, do you think we could play something like this? Specifically, Morgan on the drums and LeJean on vocals. I mean, don't get me wrong. John, Clint, guitar playing, phenomenal. I can't do half of what they can do. But when you're talking about, picking out singles to go play, covers to play at a show, when you talk about Sevendust, generally the concerns are around the vocals and the drums because they're just beasts at what they do. And I remember showing them like this, the kick drum pattern here. And it's not complicated, but with what everything's going on, and he very realistically told me, probably not, which he was right. But, I remember just back then listening to it and going, man, there's something different about this band. They just have a unique sound that, when delivered properly, is some complicated musicianship. A lot of layers, great rhythms, but the way that they package it and put it out a lot of times, they make it sound a lot more simple than it really is what I'm kind of getting at here. And once you kind of dive in, you start trying to learn some of these songs, you're like, whoa, all right, this is going to be interesting. So, but even from that time period, there was something about their sound from my guitar and bass ear, and just kind of latched onto them a little bit. But it wasn't until Seasons and Animosity came out that they just completely blew me away. And it's funny because as thick as they are, they've got so many members that can sing, and they've got big guitars, and just they've got a wall of sound, quite frankly. And personally, my two favorite albums of theirs are the cleanest ones. And it's just funny, because I spent a better part of my career just, trying to come up with heavy guitars and make it sound cool. And it's hard. It's hard to do that. But it's just funny to me. It's ironic. And I think, the level of musicianship really came through on those two albums because they were cleaner. Because you could hear what was going on. You could hear the complex patterns. You could hear the cool effects that they had to bring in, the timing of them. You could hear the layers of, Morgan and John and Clint singing, trading off and doing the harmonies and the backgrounds and the screams and just all together. And there's so much going on, and I love it. I'm typically a busy brain person, and if I'm going to dive into something, I love simple music. I love being able to just put on some chill step and veg for a little bit. But when I'm wanting to massage my ears a little bit, I go to things that are maybe a little more complicated, some layers, things my ears have to pick apart, give them something to do, right? And so it's just ironic to me that every time I go back to Sevendust, I go back to Seasons, I go back to Animosity, and being able to hear those clean sounds, I think really gave me a newfound respect for them. And of course, they've had so many good albums. Clint left for a little while. It was a little bit of a different sound, a little more straightforward rock sound. I think the songwriting, just song for song, probably went down a hair, in my opinion. I know some people that love those albums even more, but still great stuff, and I rock the hell out of those. But then whenever Clint came back with Cold Day Memory, and they put their heart and soul in that album, and from a songwriting standpoint, I felt it. You could feel that they were excited and they were jazzed to be back together. And just going back through some of these things made me really So if you take a song like Seasons, from Seasons. Oh man, but hear how it's so much cleaner. Oh man, it's so good. But speaking of Seasons, I didn't really mean to pick that out for that reason, but I might have lied to myself. Let's see, when you have that, and then they came out with Animosity, and you have Praise was a big song off of that, but you have songs like Christmas Day that is soulful and moody and sorrowful and the melancholy. They had some acoustic kind of based songs that I think is probably when Clint started getting a lot more confidence to put his own stuff out there, and that's really when I think people started taking notice to go, wow, these guys got some talent just within the band, the members themselves. Man, it's so good. It's a sad song, but listen, I was going back through and listening to some of this. This is the whole point. I've been rambling for 14 minutes now. These guys, I'm going to do a full episode on them at some point and dive into my history with them. But the thing is the amount of sheer talent person to person is ridiculous. And when you start looking at their catalog all together and go, yes, Sevendust is good. Those guys together are good, obviously. But when you start breaking it out and seeing that, right now, if you are a fan, you've really been enjoying it, because at the end of 2020, you basically had a Sevendust album come out, Blood from a Stone. You had Clint Lowry, he put out a solo album. You had Morgan put out a solo album. I don't think he's ever done that before. And John, I don't know how long it's been since he put out a projected album, but he's put out a couple of those, which just, I thought I would go through and I'm reminded of a Simpsons joke when they sat down to dinner and Lisa and Homer are talking about the different meats that they have, and Lisa's wanting him to be a vegetarian and not eat pig, and he's like, fine, I won't eat pig, I'll eat and then play the clip. So when you take into account songs like Kings from Clint Lowry's latest solo effort, got a really interesting sound on this one.
Take it from me, you can make it, 'cause I'll be right by your side. I've been through hell just for this. I had my say, I found my way, even though I came down for it. We're dying at the bottom, but we live. The bottom, but we live like kings.
So that's the guitar player from Sevendust. I say guitar player sarcastically because I was a guitar player in a band and wrote a lot of it and did the programming and did a bunch of stuff for it. And it's always nice when people come up and shake the singer's hand and say, I love that song you wrote. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. But this is, for the layman that sees that, that's the guy that's not even the front man of Sevendust, and he sounds like that. What the hell, man? Like, that's not even your singer. Like, growing up, I would have killed to be able to find a singer that sang half as good as Clint. And then, I'm listening to that. It was new, right, for 2020. But then, I was shuffling through some stuff, and it brings up John Connolly, the other guitar player, his solo stuff from Projected.
You would always be somewhere. There's another, all in for the other. Two can breathe forever. Nowhere there's another life into the.
Oh, man. I believe that might be about Dime Bag. Maybe 12/8/04. I think that's the right timeline. The thing about Dime, well, that's a conversation for another show, but my brothers Troy and Brett had the privilege of jamming with them way back in the day when Pantera was still a glam band, playing things like She's Got Come On Eyes. I have no idea what the rest of it is, and that's not the right pitch, but that's not the point. And even then, in our 80s haze, thought it was great. But the thing is they hung out, they partied afterwards, thought they were great dudes. Everything you hear about Dime just being welcoming, he was that way when he was a youngin'. Going up and having just guitar after guitar come in, and my brother Brett could tell the stories of hanging them all from the ceiling and just some random weird stuff. But anyway, and we would rent, we're from East Texas, but we, gigged in Dallas all the time and live here now, and we would run into them occasionally. And one of my favorite memories is going to Trees, downtown Dallas, to see King's X, one of my very favorite bands. Doug, Ty, Jerry, those guys are just unreal at what they do. In our circle of musicians that you've heard me talk about, or will hear me talk about, depending on where this episode lands, from East Texas, so many of those people grew up, not necessarily grew up, but spent early adulthood listening to King's X and that drop D tuning, and how they just revolutionized that kind of feel. To this day, whenever I just want to go driving and listen to a good album, good solid rock album, I'll put on Dogman. It's a later album from King's X, but oh my God, you have songs like Cigarettes that it's just got this beautiful guitar pattern, and Doug doing his thing with the soulful voice, and just great. But anyway, we went to this King's X show, and while we're there, Dime walks in. I always want to call him Diamond Daryl because that's what he was known as first. But so Diamond, that guy walks in. He's saying hi to people, that kind of stuff, and Brett and I see that he's there. Brett goes up to say hello. We hadn't seen this dude in years, right? I mean, we saw him throughout the years, said hi, but at this point when we saw him, it had probably been 10 years, maybe something like that. Anyway, and started, just carrying on a conversation with Brett, talking about remembering specific things from a show in Tyler, Texas in like 1988 or something. Like, what? This dude's been all around and seen a lot, and he still remembers hanging out with my brothers at a cool show in East Texas when he was young. And maybe that's why, because he was young and hadn't quite put the hurting on his brain that the booze might have. But man, just and then later on, you see during that same show, you see Dime, rocking out every song, fist in the air, singing along. There was none of this prima donna bullshit. I'm gonna sit in the back. Don't talk to me. I'm not gonna be here. I'm not gonna act like I'm enjoying another band. What? Like, just the coolest dude. So down to earth, and just loved music. Okay. All right. Anyway, more on Dime later, but it's a travesty. Love those guys. Having brothers that are musicians, I think, you bond with people like that, seeing them have that bond and playing. And so anyway, just wanted to pay a little tribute there for him. But yeah, the songs like that, 12/8/04 from John. And then, in that same afternoon, it's got me thinking about their stuff, and I'm going through some of their albums, and I see that Morgan, the drummer, has an album out. I'm like, what? I mean, the dude, he can sing. Obviously, he sings a lot in Sevendust, kind of known for more of the scream kind of stuff within Sevendust. But so, you see those two guitar players, John and Clint, and you hear songs from them and go, yep, some talent there. But then you pull up a song like number 6 on this new solo album called Control Chaos. The song's called Exhale.
Is telling me disappear. All this love has me crippled to my knees. If only I could bleed
Oh, yeah? That song? Yeah. It's from the drummer in Sevendust. What? What? I mean, just the level of sheer output of talent is absolutely ridiculous from these guys. And I've rambled on long enough. This was supposed to be a short episode. Of course, I can't do that. It's really hard for me to. So I'm gonna play a little ditty here from the new album from Sevendust, just to bring it back home. You put all that together, and I've been kind of down on Sevendust the last few albums. Just, they've overcompressed things sometimes, try to put a little too much, too many layers sometimes, for me personally, my taste. And with that compressed sound and all the layers, sometimes it gets lost, and I don't have that same feel that I used to have with them. But when this new album came out, Blood and Stone, Blood and Stone, I said Blood from a Stone earlier, that's a song from that album, but it's Blood and Stone. They do a cover of The Day I Tried to Live from Soundgarden, which is nice, right? I mean, talk about paying tribute to people. Mr. Chris Cornell. The last couple of years have been hard. We've lost a lot of good musicians, but you hear something like The Day I Tried to Live, with the original version and what Soundgarden stood for, and just that being yourself. They really tried to push the limit on what grunge, so to speak, really was, and what it should sound like and should not sound like, all those kinds of things. So anyway, they do a cover of The Day I Tried to Live on this, but the thing I wanted to play for you, this song called Nothing Left to See Here Anymore. And whenever I got the new album, of course, even though my love affair hasn't been it's been more like Winnie the Pooh love, like I love that guy, that bear, he's cool, whatever. Instead of like 50 Shades of Grey kind of love. So, but as I was going through this new album and I came across Nothing Left to See Here Anymore, and it just made me remember how beautiful these guys are and how much I'm glad that they exist. Their impact on so many musicians, and I've never heard a bad thing about them. Here we go.
Slap my face once again, so I can feel the one before this began. Burn out at both ends. Time to tear down the walls and start it again. You're reaching out, I'm pulling back again.
All right, people, I'm about to shut this down. I'm exhausted. I'm sure you all are too. Stay strong. It's all temporary. This too shall pass. All of those kinds of things. We'll get through it. The light at the end of the tunnel. The rain clouds will remove. Every colloquialism, saying, pun, poem, short story, novel, play, movie, TV show. I think that's most of the mediums, right? They all tell you tomorrow's a new day. Things will get better, despite how they might seem, despite how hard those words are sometimes to speak for myself. I choose light. I choose hope, as my daughter would say, a hope in a cup. So my friends, be kind to one another. Enjoy the journey and stay zen.